Hello friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be decorating an ordinary document filing folder. So as you can see, it's just a normal document folder. It had a glossy finish, so I had to take a few extra steps to make sure that it was ready for me to decorate it. So the first thing that I do is sand it down to remove some of that glossiness, make the surface a little bit rougher to touch so that the primer sticks well to it. Next, I take some methylated spirit and give it a good clean off, also degreasing it at the same time. If you don't have methylated spirit, any other degreaser will do. Next, to prime the folder for further decorating, I take some white acrylic gesso and apply 3 coats of it all over the outside of the folder. And then once the outside is dry, I take a smaller brush and go around the inside edge of the folder because we're going to be decorating it as well. Next, I take white acrylic paint and apply several coats of it onto the front part of the folder where we're going to be decoupaging. The decoupage paper that I'm using is rather thin and quite see-through, so I wanted to make sure that the colours that were originally on the folder would not come through. Next, I take my decoupage sheet. This paper is from Little Birdie Craft's new collection. It hasn't been released yet, however once it has been released I will let you guys know. This paper is slightly different to their other papers. It's much more similar to rice paper than it is to normal paper. So it's quite strong but also quite see-through. Because it seemed so similar to rice paper, I thought I'll try and apply it without wetting it first and see how that goes. Unfortunately, when I applied it, it started creasing and bubbling up, so I had to peel it back and use a damp cloth to straighten it out to make sure that there was no bubbles underneath. The good thing about this paper that it is really strong, so I was able to peel it off and it did not damage the paper one little bit. And of course, to glue it down, I used Deco Magic Decoupage glue by Little Birdie Crafts as well. So I applied a coat of it onto the folder, then put my paper on, and then applied another layer of decoupage glue over the top. Once the glue was dry, I was ready to start decorating the rest of the folder. So I took gel medium and a palette knife and started applying gel medium onto my folder. So as you can see, I'm just spreading it onto the folder, forming a frame around the decoupage picture to hide the border between the folder and the decoupage paper. And I'm not trying to get it even, in fact, opposite, I'm trying to apply it so that there are little peaks and little holes, going for this like cement wall kind of look. And so I framed the picture and then applied some gel medium onto the spine of the folder and left it to dry completely. That took about 12 hours. And then once the front was dry, I applied gel medium onto the back of the folder. Again, using the same technique, just a slightly larger palette knife because it made it a little bit quicker. After my gel medium had dried, I applied one coat of gloss water-based varnish over the picture to protect it from further painting and aging that we're going to do. Next, I take this cream coloured acrylic paint and paint all of the areas that I applied gel medium onto using that colour. I ended up applying 3 coats of it. Once the paint was dry, I took my Daily Art water-based bitumen and started aging my gel medium areas. So as you can see, I'm working in smaller sections. I take a brush and smear bitumen all over my gel medium parts, and then take a cloth and wipe the excess away. Bitumen stained the paint to make it look a little bit darker in places. The more you rub it off, the more of it comes away. So it's something that you can control as to like how dark your areas are gonna get. So if you want an area to be a little bit darker, you just apply a couple more layers of your bitumen over it, or do a little bit less wiping. And I go ahead and I do it all over the folder. To decorate the inside, I used this stencil and a little bit of this brown paint. So I applied the stencil, and using a stencil brush, I dabbed the paint on through the stencil. To make sure that my stencil is straight, I overlapped the next part with the part that I did previously, and that allowed me to make sure that I wasn't applying my stencil wonky. I could have easily skipped that part, but because I had a few smudges there from when I worked with bitumen, I decided to go for a little bit of decorating on the inside. Next, to highlight the peaks on the gel medium, I take a little bit of this white acrylic paint and a large natural bristle brush, and using dry brushing technique, I very lightly go over the gel medium and allow some of that white paint stick on the peaks. To add a little bit of age and a little bit of a more distinguished border to my folder, I take Liberon's Special Effects wax in black I wrap a cloth around my finger, dab the cloth into the wax and wipe it onto the edges of the folder. Next, to add a little bit of sparkle to the whole thing, I mean, we are working with a unicorn picture after all, I take some of this sparkle paste, which is essentially a bit like gel medium but with glitter added into it, and a small brush. I pick up a little bit, and I mean very tiny bit, of sparkle paste onto my brush and paint it onto the areas where I want a little bit of sparkle. So I added a little bit of sparkle over the gel medium parts, I added a little bit of sparkle to the horn on the unicorn's head and the hair and a couple of flowers. I just wanted to add a little bit of shimmer here and there. To seal my folder, I used gloss varnish. I applied 4 coats of it onto the front and 2 onto the back. I did not seal the inside of the folder because the inside of the folder has not been primed with anything. It's just paper with a little bit of acrylic paint on it. So if I go ahead and varnish it, it will warp and bubble up. So I just left it as is. And then as an afterthought, I decided to add some tying strings to my folder. So ideally, if you want to add some strings to your folder, make sure that you make the holes for them before you start decorating your folder, so that you can varnish and paint the holes and make sure that they look nice. I didn't think about it when I first started making it, so I just had to deal with what I had. So I just used a little screwdriver to pierce some holes through my folder, aged it with a little bit of acrylic paint, and once it was dry, I put it through the holes and tied it. To make it easier to put it through the hole, I used a little bit of sticky tape, tied it around the end of the ribbon to make it into like a needle shape, and that allowed me to put the ribbon through very easily. So I did that on both sides, tied my bow, and added a little bit more sparkle paste over the ribbon. And there you guys go. So this is the finished project. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I know it was a slightly different point of view this time. Unfortunately, I was not able to fit in the whole folder into my overhead shot. The folder was a bit too big. I would have had to like move it every 2 seconds for you to be able to see it. I had to improvise with a different tripod. So if this point of view wasn't as nice, I do apologize, but I had to do what I had to do in order for me to be able to show it to you. Once again, this gorgeous paper has not been released yet. Little Birdie Craft have sent it to me as like a little preview. So I'm very, very grateful for that, and I really enjoyed working with it, and I hope that you guys also like it. And I will let you guys know when that paper is available to buy. As always, links for everything are in the description down below. So all of the products used in this video, all of the social media links, discount codes, things like that are going to be in the description. If you have any questions, anything like that, leave those in the comments down below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!